Yeah, 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 yeah. Once upon a time in the city called Oakland, pity for the weak in a room full of smokers, on the corner smoking, playing Texas Hold'em, holding on the jokers to the coroner resolved them, in and out of front doors. What you got a front for? Door of Explore or the sound of a Crown Vic? Come out with your.
You know what? I have a feeling that by 2050, they're going to start selling viruses over the counter to lose weight.
I hope not.
Look, you got to win into a 10.
Please don't.
Ebola for $49.95.
Well,
you would lose 40 pounds.
I'll tell you, you know what? Actually, that's not far off, right? Because we already shoot botulism into people's faces, right?
Okay,
we use botulism for out migraines. We use botulism for what's called Botox, but it's still botulism, right? But it's diluted down so much that because botulism is one of the most deadly toxins.
Yeah.
And so they utilize it for a lot of different things, and it's paralysis, right? And so they use it to stop people from sweating. They use it to stop people from migraines, and they also use it for cosmetic surgery. So I mean, but then that's a bacterial toxin. So that's a little different. So that doesn't really mutate and change as much. But viruses are different because they mutate and they change.
But to your point, and it's very interesting that you bring that up, is I was joking, but kind of like wait serious, because I've heard of people catching flus and stuff on purpose to lose weight,
right?
Because it curbs your appetite,
right? You're
sweating a whole lot, which by the way, you're dehydrating yourself if you're not drinking water. And they lose. I lost almost 14 pounds in 2.5 weeks when I had the flu. So,
well, viruses are very interesting because they have a virus called the adenovirus, and so they're trying to utilize that virus to introduce medicines into the human body, right? So viruses can be very useful. Everything in biology can be very useful. So sometimes it can be used for nefarious purposes, but also it can be used for beneficial purposes.
Right.
It's all in the way that we decide that we want to use these different organisms, but we have to actually respect them and understand them. Right. Before we decide that we're going to utilize these different types of potentially,
Right. And to your point with Botox, it's find a way to manipulate it that it can be advantageous.
Right. You turn a negative into a positive. And so we've learned that over time that, you know what? If we dilute botulism down to it's called femtomolars. So you have nanomolars, picomolars, and then femtomolars. Right? So it's diluted down to almost nothing. And it still has an effect.
Jeez.
That shows you how powerful botulism is. The toxin.
So, you and I had a conversation in regards to viruses and how the T cells, I believe it's the T cells, coat the virus and it kind of gets rid of the virus.
Right.
I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that because I found that very interesting. And when we were talking it goes out, the T cells go and try to find the right combination of what to attack and it coats it in order to get rid of it. Kind of give me a breakdown on that.
So the T cells go out, they see a foreign invader, they go out, they coat themselves, and then once the particular invader is encoded, then it's transported through just natural immune system to a different place, and then within the pancreas and sometimes the spleen, they break down the different components of the virus, right? And so from there, they can then your immune system can construct what's called antibodies in order to combat if that informant ever invades again. So now what's happening is now you've created a library of basically soldiers to go out and say, look, this guy's back. Okay, which soldiers do we need to go out and attack this particular individual?
Wow.
Because you have different soldiers for each different antibody.
Right.
And that's your antibody library.
Got it. So, okay, and this was a unique thing we talked about, because I always, thought about my immune system and how rare I get sick, and when I get sick, I get sick. But, one good night's sleep, if I feel symptoms, the common cold is gone like that. And we were talking about growing up in Louisiana, for a majority of my childhood life, from ages 2 to 7 or 2 to 9. And the amount of bacteria that I could have been exposed to being near swamps. And let's break that down a little bit, because this ties into what you were stating as far as Western civilization versus some of these third world countries and how they're able to, heal from certain viruses, whereas with us, because we come from a region where we very clean. Some of y'all.
Right.
Some of y'all can smell your breath through your mask, but we ain't gonna talk about that. That's hygiene. Wash chest, hey.
I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so if you it's not if you grow up dirty, but if you grew up playing in dirt, and so you see sometimes when kids eat dirt and all these types of things, that's a natural actual behavior. And some people are like, don't do that, you don't send that. But you kind of what children are doing is they're introducing all these foreign invaders into their immune system, and they're challenging their immune system very early.
Right.
And the more you can do that, which I'm not saying throw your kid in like a sewer or anything like that, but I'm just saying
some of you parents are shitty, but we ain't talking about it. Oh my God!
It's good for your children not to live in a very, 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 very sterile environment,
right?
Because then that can introduce. It's not a 100% guaranteed golden rule, but that can exacerbate an autoimmune disease, or it can create an autoimmune disease because your immune system has nothing to attack. So if you have nothing to, your immune system is designed to attack foreign invaders.
Right.
But there are no foreign invaders, so what is your immune system going to do?
It's going to look for stuff and make up reasons to go and attack something. Right. So you can eat a certain food, and your body will say, that's a foreign invader, versus introducing bacteria. I was listening to some...
So like with kids, with the new therapy that they have for kids with peanut allergies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that?
No.
So what they do with kids with, it's experimental still, and they're still in the foundational phases, but what they do is they introduce a little bit of peanut butter at a time to these kids. And so over time, they develop immunity to their peanut butter allergy. Because nut allergies are incredibly deadly.
Right.
Like if you have a nut allergy, like you can... just like that.
Oh, wow.
And so what they're trying to do now is, especially with very young kids, if they find that they have like some type of allergic reaction to nuts, they'll just introduce just a little bit at every little, and so over time your immune system starts to recognize that peanuts.
And it's now embracing it as opposed to fighting it off. And to your point, when I first moved to Sacramento from the Bay Area, I suffered from allergies really, really bad. And what the doctor suggested, when Claritin wasn't working, Benadryl wasn't working, he told me to go get bee pollen in gel caps. And I would pop 2 bee pollen a day during that time. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had any type of allergic reaction to pollen. And it was just my body being exposed. And he said, well, the best way to treat it is expose your body to it. So I asked him, what is bee pollen? He said, literally, that's what it is. It's pollen.
It's pollen.
You're just exposing your body to it.
Right. And so you have people get hay fever, all this type of thing.
Right.
It's pollen. They're just allergic to the pollen. Because pollen is these little... Pollen is a real thing. People don't think that pollen is a real thing. You can see it on your car. And so it gets lodged into your nostrils and all these different types of places, and it irritates you.
Right.
And you're not able to actually, live or breathe or anything like that because you're having such an extreme immune response to it.
And it's almost like, okay, so for those that speak Jack Daniels, Christian Brothers, and E&J, it's like if your first time getting drunk, you're gonna be sloshed, stomach hurt, hangover. You're gonna be promising to baby Jesus you don't ever want to get drunk again. But when you start taking shots every day, eventually your immune system says, "Okay, I can do this. Bring on more." Now, I'm not asking y'all to be functioning alcoholics, but I'm just saying, as you expose yourself to it little at a time, your body is able to take it on versus overwhelming it with it. Because I think that's where the breaking point is. Too much is being exposed to the body can't take it, it can't fight it off, so what it does, it starts to shut down.
Absolutely. And so again, moderation.
So, just again to recap, we talked about the importance of wearing masks. We talked about wearing masks and a visor.
Right.
We talked about the importance of social distancing, importance of sleep. We talked about the importance of not necessarily overdosing on vitamin C and zinc, but more so creating a healthy lifestyle to boost the immune system itself.
Right.
I love the analogy you gave about the bucket. If you take the bucket, turn it upside down, you're going to get more water around that smaller bucket than you would if you took your time and you allowed it to slowly pour in there. And by doing that, it's introducing it through your foods and your natural foods you're eating, opposed to pills. Now, one thing I love about that too as well is, and this is going into workout, but it ties into it. I used to take all those Bang energy drinks and all this stuff with creatine.
Right.
And I started having heart murmurs and all kind of problems. At first, it was the perfect remedy. But when my doctor had explained to me, he said, this body has more in common with the elements of the earth, ground, trees, plants, than it does with the chemicals they use to make some of these pre-workouts. So he said that false high that niacin and certain things of that sort give you, it's not really helping you, it's more hurting you. So he started giving me symptoms to look out for, and one he told me that was key was, he said, your sweat will start to smell like ammonia.
Oh, wow.
So one day I ran a bunch of miles. I mean, my shirt was drenched, and I just tossed it in the corner. And when I picked it up to throw it in the machine, it smelled like straight ammonia.
Wow.
So what he was telling me was that this is impacting your kidneys to the point to where your body is trying to get rid of some of this stuff, thus the ammonia smell. So he told me, get off of it. And I started drinking 2 12-ounce cans of V8. Just your regular V8. I hate V8, but I love it now. I hated it at the time. And in my workout, I would drink it in thirds. So before I start, I drink a third of that 12-ounce. In the middle of my workout, a third. When I feel a burnout, the rest of that can. And then towards the second half of my workout, because my workouts will usually be an hour and a half to 2 hours, I drink another can in thirds.
I'm lucky if I get an hour.
Man, I'm telling you, look, with 4 daughters,
for 2 hours.
Man, with 4 daughters and a wife, hey, look, I find reasons for one more rep. Nah, I love them. I love them.
2 hours?
But
I don't know what I do for 2 hours, though.
Now, it's a circuit thing. So, like, for an example, I'll do supersets, push-ups, pull-ups, curls. I'll take little short breaks in between. I may hit the stationary bike treadmill. And my average workout when the gym was open, shout out and rest in peace to 24-Hour Fitness, summer going bankrupt. But I would do about 600 reps in a workout session. And I noticed the V8 allowed me to get the same pump as I got from a pre-workout.
600 reps?
With like 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups in sets of 10. So 10 sets of 10 of pull-ups.
100 pull-ups?
Yeah, but 10 sets of 10.
You're like a superhero.
Well, you know what I figured out about the amazing thing about DNA and the mind is I decided, after I had my ACL severed, I said I never run a jog again.
Right.
That was the thing that pushed me, and I really went in to prove the doctor wrong and ended up learning this whole science about my body now. Can I do what I did 8 years ago? Hell no. 42 is not the new 24.
No, it's not. I don't care what they say.
But the fundamentals and the proper way of doing it, that is I think it substitutes for that going in and benching 365. I may can't bench 365 now, but I may can do it 315 maybe once or twice. But why would I want to lift that heavy when it's about maintaining, not trying to show off? So tying that into what we were talking about is that
315 pounds.
Yeah, I could do that in sets of 5. My max. I'll show you the video after this. I just posted it this morning. I know, and it's weird because I was 160, 170 my whole life.
You know what? We used to be the same size.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was 160, 170 until
so bad about myself.
But when I hit 33, that comfort eating from being married, I went from 170 to 245 in like
I'll see that's
11 months.
Right.
And I think what happened was my frame changed. I transitioned to a different frame. And then as I started losing weight, but introducing exercising, weightlifting, my body met in the middle. Now, when I had the flu and I wasn't working out, 178 easy. Dropped hella fast. Looked like a damn Tootsie Pop. Head about this big, he more body. Got more head than he got body. Like, it was bad. But what tying this back into the immune system and things of that sort, everybody wants to find a shortcut to try to beat the system.
Right.
And I think the thing we pass up is the body is a machine, and you can train it without these shortcuts. What the shortcuts do is to suppress the opportunity that the body actually has to do it on its own. So, like, I remember as a kid, doctors telling me, if you have the cold or flu, try to avoid taking NyQuil or things of that stuff. Allow your body to fight it off. Because if your body's able to fight it off, it becomes stronger on its own. Whereas if you become too cold dependent on cold medicine, when you don't have access to it, the body kind of doesn't know what to do.
Right.
And again, I'm speaking based on experience. You would probably know more.
Based on your own experiences,
right.
That's what you get. Yes.
And that's key. Again, thank you for saying that. When it comes to COVID, when it comes to health, when it comes to the immune system, remember this. Just like your fingerprints, that's our DNA. We may be brothers.
Right.
But depending on how our bodies react, they're like fingerprints. Each of ours are different and unique to our body.
Right. We can do the exact same thing and have
different results. Like, for an example, I tried dieting. I couldn't get down past 194 without catching the flu. Whereas the last time I saw you versus recent, I was just telling your goddaughter, I'm like, man, your goddad lost a lot of weight. I got to talk to him about, like, is he healthy? Right, no, not even that. Because I could tell it was more of a diet weight loss opposed to a sickly weight loss.
But I'll tell you what happened. Well, it was kind of the trip I had to take too. But once the COVID thing started, I had to start to cook for myself again. Well, I was always cooking for myself, but consistently. And so I stopped eating out as much, and I started like I told you, I started adding a lot of fiber, started drinking like vegetables, all that type of stuff, and fruits and all that, and just like less meat, all of it, and it's like, wow, I didn't even know, and it's a comfortable weight for me because the last time I was this thin, I did not feel comfortable at all, but it was because I was taking the shortcuts. I was taking the
yes, sir.
What was that? They used to come like the extreme fuel.
Yeah, you're talking about the God, it was all like the stacker tubes,
right?
And
all that type of stuff. And so I was doing that, and so I got down to like 145, right? Rick, the whole thing. I was always hungry. Like I could not.
And that stuff used to make me go to the bathroom. I'm talking about because there was a time when I was taking those little, they were like gel cap pills, and they kind of helped. They were like fat burners.
Right.
And man, I'm telling you, I'm like, man, no, I'm not gonna let that one seep out. That may not be what I think it is.
Just make it to the bathroom before I lose my bowels all over myself.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So I had to, revisit that. There's nothing.
I got a story I'm gonna tell you off camera.
It wasn't prunes. I think it's very important that people understand that in life, anything with a shortcut has a consequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a high risk involved.
Because I developed heart arrhythmia because of that.
So there was this pre-workout called Jacked.
And I remember Jacked.
Oh, I was taking that stuff. Right. I was taking Jacked, and I started having heart murmurs. Then I started seeing shadows. Like, we could be talking right now, and a shadow will run across the room. And then when I really said, okay, it's time to see a doctor, I noticed that I would get snappy with my supervisor. And she was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah. She was like, because it seemed like your attitude is like, you don't really care. My whole attitude became, I ain't got time for this shit. I used to just literally say
that's
that.
my default.
Right. But it would be for the smallest things. So between that and the heart murmurs, I went to the doctor. I told him what was going on, and he asked me if anything changed in my diet. And this was when Jack had the original form. So I told him I had it in the car. He said, go get it. I went and got it, bought it, and he started reading the ingredients to me. And he said, tell me anything you see in here that's natural. And I was hard pressed to find it. Half the shit I couldn't pronounce.
Mostly you could pronounce.
There was something MDMA, something.
Yeah, all that chemical stuff.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, this is why you might be seeing shadows. He was like, have you had problems with sleeping? I was like, yeah, man, I could be up for like 30-something hours straight. Like, go to work. I would wake up in the morning at 6, take a scoop full of Jack, kill it at the gym, go to work 8 hours, drink coffee.
Right.
Just out of habit, not even because I needed the caffeine. And then go to the gym after work, take another scoop of Jack, and I thought I was safe. There's no shortcuts to success without a sacrifice or taking a high risk. So,
absolutely,
not just in working out, but going back to this whole COVID thing, being more aware of your surroundings, being more thought-provoking when it comes to your neighbor. And what I mean by neighbor is the person standing next to you. Taking it out of consideration the conspiracy theories and looking at the grand picture and saying, if I do this, what is the greater risk? I tell people all the time, I would rather believe. And if it's not that, then hey, I just was believing in something that wasn't real. Versus not believing, and then it's real. At that point, it's too late to turn back.
Right. And understand that COVID isn't just a United States thing. It's a global thing. You look at what's happening in Latin America and South America, and you see the problems and the trials and tribulations that they're going through and trying to contain COVID.
Right.
I mean, the Brazilian president got COVID.
Yeah.
Even though he said that it was a hoax and all this type of stuff, he got COVID.
Now, it wasn't either it was England, UK, or London, one of their, the prime
Boris
minister.
Johnson, yeah. Prime Minister, he got it as well. And then Iran, very early. So I'll tell you why I kind of, because I think I told you very early on. I think I told you back in January or February, right? That you kind of need to take this seriously, and I'll tell you why. It was the Iran's health. It was the health minister or the prime minister was on TV, and he was talking about how COVID wasn't real and all this, and he was sweating, like profusely sweating, and
probably had it.
All this. Oh yeah, he had it. He absolutely had it. And so a lot of people in the Iran High Council got COVID, and some of them died. And so then they were actually in Iran, they were actually burying in mass graves the people. And I was like, whoa,
wow.
This ain't something that we got to play with. And so I had been monitoring since late November or early December, because reports were coming out of China talking about this. And then the Chinese doctor that reported it actually died, and he was 32.
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that.
And so I was like, oh, wait a minute, this might be something. So I didn't think that it would actually impact us as much as it has now. And so I was like, oh, well, okay, well, I just keep an eye on it. I just kept an eye on it.
Right.
And so once it got, once this kind of started to spread about China and got into Iran, I think that's when I told you, like, look, it's coming. And I told you some information, and you're like, all right, I got you. And now here we are.
Now, the one thing I could respect about that, and I'll take a moment for that as well, because in that moment, I was in my conspiracy theory hat.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know, you sent me a video.
And you were like,
I'm like, no, that's not true.
Don't believe none of that shit. Don't believe none of that. Man, put that down. This is what you do. And we need more people out there to us, because we've been victims of this, everything's a conspiracy.
Right.
And I think we've forgotten about
misinformation as well. And I understand that it's not just not just the current administration that's giving out disinformation. There's also other foreign national parties who also have their self-interest in sowing seeds of disinformation within populations, especially populations of especially communities of color, right?
Yeah.
Because then they can sow this dissension and all this unrest and all that. But really, at the end of the day, we all have to remember that we're all Americans,
right?
And we all have to work together in order to beat this thing,
right?
And if we don't work, this is the time where we need to come together. Yes, there's a lot of other things going on, absolutely, but this is literally a life or death situation. Right. There is no time to be like, you know what, this is my rights. You know what, your rights do matter, absolutely, but also the life. If you really care about the life, of your fellow American, this is what you just wear the mask.
Just wear it. Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, and this is going to be a hard change for us, because we grow up in a society where self-righteousness
and selfishness
is greed, lust, and I'm not just talking about the bed sheets. Lust is the desire for something that you may not need, or that could be detrimental to you. I understand that we're living a lifestyle, but if you guys continue on this path, then life as we know it will permanently change. And the longer that we go through this, the more we're going to have to adjust in life. Going back to the traffic I saw going to Reno.
Right.
These people are from the Bay Area. They're coming 150, some 250 miles from ground zero in the Santa Clara area. They're they're coming from ground zero, and they're going to a place where potentially, I haven't heard of many cases in South Lake Tahoe, give or take.
Well, actually, what's happening in South Lake Tahoe is that South Lake Tahoe people, because that's a very big tourist area,
right,
and this would be a very big holiday for them, and so they're kind of on the edge. They're kind of vacillating between saying, okay, we want the tourists to come, but at the same time, we want to live. Because a lot of tourists aren't necessarily respecting the environment. But you know how tourists are. Like, I don't live here, so I ain't really got to respect your laws, blah blah blah. And the people in the people of South Lake Tahoe are very worried about their own safety.
Yeah.
It's like, how much do we actually need these people to be here if they're going to respect our laws and in fact not only respect our laws, respect our lives?
Right, because it's a possibility that they're coming with the virus.
Right.
So
they're coming to, people are going out to have a good time and everything like that, but they also have to make sure that they respect the laws of South Lake Tahoe, because they're residents that live there.
Yeah.
And they make they want you to come, but you have to respect them.
That's right.
And respect their laws and respect their safety, right?
That's
because
right.
at the end of the day, you're going on a vacation, they live there.
Yeah.
And you're coming in fact, in some ways, you're coming into somebody's home.
Yeah,
so you should
right.
be respectful of yourself when you enter their home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
and this was great. I really appreciate you taking out the time to do this.
Thank you for asking.
Not a problem. I look forward to dropping little tidbits on folks in regards to health and wellness, not just from a medical standpoint, in a sense of direct like COVID, but also psychologically.
Right.
I love how we touched on the mental mind state of people and
Absolutely.
why we're having an issue with containing this. Any last thoughts that you would like to leave the people with, or best practices that you would like to leave the people with that could kind of help us to be more conscientious of what's going on and how to help prevent the spreading of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that when you're out there and when you leave your house, understand that if you wear a mask, you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for everybody. You're doing it for the people who can't, people who are immunocompromised, people who have pre-existing conditions. They need your help.
Right.
Because they can't help it that they're that way. Mm-hmm. You can. And you're being selfless to another human being. And you're speaking to them. And you're helping them. Mm-hmm. Understand that wearing a mask is about helping other people. And if you believe in humanity, if you believe in America, this is what you would do.
Right.
And so that's all I have to say.
Well, I tell you, I've learned a lot today. I'm enlightened. I'm happy to spread the word. If you guys have any questions in regards to, or any topics you'd like to share, especially questions, because what I would love to do is, I would like to get you the questions, and because you will be able to respond to them. If I send the questions to you and you send them to me, I'm going to paraphrase. I may get a few things twisted. And I want people to understand
directly.
There it is. Because this is not just a me thing or a you thing or a you thing. It's we're in this together.
We're in this together.
If we can spend as much time on social media worrying about the bullshit, stuff that doesn't really matter by the end of the day when it comes to life and death, there are certain things in life that are a necessity. That's eating, drinking water, sleeping,
and pooping.
And and pooping. Literally, I was just about to say that. Procreation is a bonus. That's not a requirement. Those 4 characteristics are the requirements in life. The others are added bonuses. So if we can treat these 4 requirements as the forefront and the bonus as the background instead of the reverse.
My swag is proper, just ask my papa. I know I'm awesome, I'm on it. When it comes to my swag, I don't brag, I don't boast. I can roaches and reproach, plus the Capricorn, the goat. And the glow of my confidence, well, I don't mean to knock your shit. Diarrhea at your mouth, y'all don't come close, no. Don't know what you talk about, easy your approach. Lyrics sprayed when I spray, the other way goes the roach. Oh, thinking I'm an everyday with different types of chickadees. And steady feed them chicken seed, and yeah, I'm getting laid. Back up in the days, misbehave, you love to misbehave. Toast to getting closer for my wife, I'll be your sex slave. Got a lot of love to give, females help me. Not because I gave for D, just a fly human being. Yeah, it seems envy got the best of the enemy. Remedy, get rid of things that only bring you misery. Joy is my strength, here's a hint, can't get rid of me. Some of y'all will tickle me, want to smoke a hickory. Unsolved mysteries, thought past history. Mad because I spaz, damn, this is really only keys. I possess a swag with a whole lot of class, with a ball spot. Only time you catch me with a do-rag.